Women have no power in the real world, so why should Kens have power in Barbie land? So, once the women in the real world are empowered, then you can feel empowered. Really? Was that it? Was that the whole point of this whole movie? Like, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you like it and decide to stay by hitting the subscribe button. And if this is not your first time, welcome back. So over the weekend I went to see the Barbie movie and it was so bad. Like, I really wish I could have just hit delete and not have to think about this ever again, but I really feel like I owe you guys some sort of warning. I feel like I need to just let you know how bad it was so that you can make an informed decision before you decide to watch it or decide not to. I hope you decide not to. So what did I expect, really? A Barbie movie. I had very low expectations. In fact, I had no expectations at all. I went in expecting to come out saying it was okay. I just expected something very colorful, lighthearted, with a bit of comedy and, some sort of feminist message, something to just empower young girls, where girls are learning the value of their potential, something nice and fun. Like, yeah, that's what I expected. But instead, what we got is complete hatred of men. It was so blatant, so clear that was their message, and I just thought it was so unnecessary. This is not the way to empower women. Like, is this like putting men down? Is this what we want our kids looking at? Like, oh, men are rubbish, men are this and that, and that's the way we're supposed to empower women. It just seemed so low. So what was this movie all about? Let's go through that quickly. The movie opens with a scene where little girls, from years and years ago, from the beginning of time, are playing with their baby dolls. They're happy, and then all of a sudden the Barbie appears and they start violently destroying their babies. So they don't put aside the baby dolls, they actually physically destroy them violently, and I just didn't see the point. Like, why are they viciously destroying their babies? To me, that was a representation of motherhood. They're destroying these baby dolls for this ideal, perfect woman. I didn't get that, but okay, we're not supposed to think too much about it. Let's put that aside. We can unpack that later. So we go to Barbie land, which is this perfect land where all the Barbies, there are several Barbies and there are several Kens, they all live there. The perfect matriarchy. All the Barbies have all the important jobs and the Kens are pretty much useless. There's a trans Barbie, which was expected. This is as far as I thought they were going to push it. And then there's a pregnant Barbie who got cancelled. Why did she get cancelled? Again, to my point, what I said earlier about breaking the baby dolls, why did they cancel the pregnant Barbie? Like, are women not allowed to be pregnant? Are girls not allowed to play with baby dolls? Put a pin in that. So Barbie is going along, living her perfect life. She wakes up in the morning, has a perfect day, and everything is okay in Barbie land. And then one day she wakes up and she has thoughts about death, and then she has flat feet because, normally the Barbie's, heels are like that, like shaped like the high heel, and she wakes up and then her feet are flat. So that was the big joke. All the big jokes were really in the beginning where, we see the perfect Barbie land and, it's interesting to see the dollhouse, come to life. So that was cool. That was funny. They put on the shower, no water comes out. She drinks from a cup, nothing is coming out. It's like, oh yeah, we've all played with Barbie dolls. So that's interesting to see. So that's where all the joking stopped. So she has the flat feet. She has thoughts about death. She gets cellulite. So they even barf at the sight of her having flat feet. And I'm like, okay, what's the point of this movie? Okay, fine. Everything is supposed to be perfect. Okay, fine. They then decide that she needs to go and see weird Barbie who lives in a house far, far away. Nobody talks to her, but she seems to know the answers because she knows she has some information about the real world and she knows what is going on. She knows she can help you. So they go to weird Barbie. She has her hair cut up roughly. She's been drawn on. She has like crayon marks all over her face, and apparently she's like that because she was played with too hard. And apparently what's happening to Barbie, to stereotypical Barbie, because the main Barbie is called stereotypical Barbie. So what's happening to stereotypical Barbie is happening because the person who's playing with her in the real world is not happy. So she's feeling the things that the person that's playing with her is feeling. That makes no sense, because if weird Barbie is the way she is, why are all the Barbies not catching fire and dropping dead, all the time? Like, kids are always playing with their Barbie dolls. First of all, like, why is it that their hands are not moving all over the place? Like, okay, let's even say it's not that literal. Kids are not gentle with the way that they play with their Barbie dolls. Like, Barbies should be run over by cars, you know, broken into, like they should be limbless. Barbies get their haircuts all the time. My daughter has several dolls that she's drawn on their faces. Like, no Barbie should be perfect in Barbieland. Maybe one or two of them should have like an owner that's really careful with her dolls, but really this land should be full of dolls that look anyhow. Anyway, so the solution to her problem is for her to go into the real world and, you know, find the person who is playing with her and make her happy, and everything will be okay. This is where I expected it to be like Enchanted. If you've seen Enchanted, Enchanted is one of my favorites. So I expected Barbie to come into the real world. It's new to her and it's tough in one way or the other, but then she learns life lessons and she learns to live in the real world and she adjusts. She encounters a few horrible people, but she also encounters kind people, and she, you know, learns to live in the real world. She actually enjoys it because it's, you know, more multifaceted than Barbieland. And she learns that even though there are ups and downs in the real world, it's more interesting than Barbieland. And maybe she finds love or whatever it is, you know, she finds maybe not even love, but maybe she just, you know, makes friends, like makes real friends and learns about real emotions and real, you know, feelings, which she doesn't get to experience in the two-dimensional world that Barbieland is. That would have been a fantastic story. Like, that would have been great. But no, she goes into the real world and immediately she gets there, she's getting cat calls. People are like, oh, you know, hey, sweetheart, you know. I'm like, is this the 70s? What's going on here? This is like, who talks like this now? Like, nobody talks like this. And they're grabbing like a lot of attention. To be honest, they were not even dressed like dolls. Like, obviously they intentionally made them look more colorful and brighter, but honestly they didn't stand out that much. I don't know why they were grabbing so much attention. Okay, fine. Why did a man come and slap her on her ass in the middle of, like, nobody does that? It was so unrealistic, but okay, no problem. It's not supposed to be realistic. Okay. Ken discovers patriarchy. So, she goes to the real world with Ken and he discovers patriarchy and he is loving it because apparently in Barbieland he is useless and, you know, he's not taken seriously. And so he loves it. He loves it in the real world because men, for the first time in his life, people are giving him attention, and yeah, he loves patriarchy, long story short. So Barbie goes into the real world. All the men are dumb. All the executives at Mattel, who are the makers of Barbie, are men. There's no woman in sight, and she's like, oh, there's something wrong here. All the Mattel executives want to do is to capture her. Once they find out that Barbie has escaped from Barbieland, they want to capture her and send her back to Barbieland because something horrible is going to happen if she doesn't. They never tell us what it is, and okay, we're just supposed to forget about it. Okay, so she eventually finds the person who's playing with her. Turns out it's not a girl, but it's a woman who eventually helps her escape from Mattel. And I don't know how, but the solution to all her problems was to take them back to Barbieland. So she takes them back to Barbieland and the Mattel executives are chasing them. I don't know why they're chasing them. They're chasing them into Barbieland, which was the problem. They didn't want them to be in the real world. So Barbie is safely back in Barbieland. Why are you still chasing her? I didn't get it. Okay. So now, before she went back to Barbieland, Ken had already gone back to Barbieland and established the patriarchy. So he had gone back and the whole place was just like a frat party. Obviously, he didn't go back and establish anything sensible and, you know, meaningful. It was just, you know, Ken and all the men being masculine and dumb men. Calling all the Barbies sweethearts and asking them to bring them beers, and the women are waiting on them. First of all, how is it that these strong, beautiful, ambitious, smart women are easily influenced by the Kens? Like, all the Barbies all of a sudden are brainwashed and they're serving the Kens, getting them beers, you know, rubbing their feet and all of this, you know, trash. If they're so clever, why is it that they were able to be influenced so quickly? I didn't get that. Okay, fair enough. It's not meant to be realistic. Let's move on. So they said they were easily influenced because they had no immunity against the men. Okay. So they had to remind them of who they were. And ultimately, this ended with them putting the Kens against each other. So they made the Kens fight by using their sexuality, basically. So stereotypical Barbie is with stereotypical Ken, and then all the other Barbies are paired up with another Ken. So their big plan was to swap Barbies and, you know, make the Kens jealous. So basically they used their sexuality to confuse the Kens and get them against each other. So there was this huge fight scene at the beach where the Kens were fighting each other out of nowhere, there's this musical number where the Kens are singing. I don't know why. Like, why was that the only musical, piece? Like, I don't, like, is it a musical or is it not? And if it is, then why were there not at least two? Like, I can't remember anybody else singing, but this is the one that stood out, and I don't know why it was there. So basically, the point of the fight was to distract the Kens from, voting, which there was supposed to be a vote happening to put the Barbies back in charge. So that was their big plan, to get the Kens distracted while the Barbies voted. They did that, and the Barbies were back in charge. So it was a matriarchy again. It was Barbie land. Barbies were in charge. Kens were useless once again. I would have thought this was a fantastic opportunity for them to point out how we can work together. We can live in a world where we are equals and nobody has to be stupid. Women can achieve what they want, men can achieve what they want, and we can work together. But no, Ken actually says there's no Ken without Barbie. It's Barbie and Ken. There's no just Ken. And Barbie is like, no, you have to figure out who you are on your own, and basically just putting him to the side and telling him that they will find some sort of menial jobs for him, and saying that maybe in the future Kens can have as much power as women have in the real world. That was supposed to be a huge moment, like, oh yeah, women are not, women have no power in the real world, so why should Kens have power in Barbie land? So once the women in the real world are empowered, then you can feel empowered. Really? Was that it? Was that the whole point of this whole movie? Like, it was so silly, and I kept thinking, like, why couldn't that have been the movie? Like, okay, fair enough, like, we know what the world is like, and then you've shown us a version of the world where women run everything. Like, after they've been to the real world, why couldn't they come back with, some sort of balance? Like, that would have been perfect if the movie had ended with some sort of balance where they come back and everybody sees each other as equals, we respect each other, and we're able to work together. And we live in a perfect world where everybody is respected and given equal power. And yeah, just generally we live in harmony together. Like, what's wrong with Barbie and Ken being together? Like, literally, Ken was created to be with Barbie. Barbie and Ken are meant to be happy together. Like, what was the problem with that? I don't know why feminism has to be, tearing men down and, completely removing men and making men appear dumb. This was an opportunity for them to relay an important message, and they totally missed it. They just turned the whole thing into a joke and made a mockery of women. So at the end of the movie, as expected, Barbie goes back to the real world, or she decides to become human and go to the real world. And the first thing she does is she goes to her gynecologist. Is that what it comes down to? Being a woman, like, having a vagina is what being a woman is all about. Like, is that the big thing she achieved? Like, she went to the real world, she didn't learn anything about emotions, about human nature, like nothing else. Like, that was the main thing. She went to see the gynecologist. Earlier in this movie, when she had first come to the real world, someone had, one of the people that were catcalling her, she had said, oh, I don't have a vagina and he doesn't have a penis. Like, who asked you? Like, how do you even know these things? And this is another thing, like, they couldn't make up their minds. Like, does Barbie know nothing at all? Is she just a plastic doll that's coming straight out of Barbieland and has no idea what anything is? Or is she, someone that actually knows things? How does she know about vaginas and penises? How does she know about fascism? And, there were so many other things that she said here and there that were just like, how do you know that? I thought you were dumb, If you can't tell by now, I really did not like this movie. I thought it was a waste of time, especially from me, because I love films like this. I love animation. I thoroughly enjoyed Enchanted, like I said earlier. And I wore pink. Like, I wore pink. I got my friends to wear, even if it was just a touch of pink. Like, I was so excited about it. No, not so excited, but I'm one to get behind a theme. Like, if we're doing pink, no problem. Let's go all the way and do it. I feel like I wasted my time with this. I will say that the only positives here were, number one, the marketing. The marketing was amazing. In fact, they did a good job of hiding the actual agenda of this movie from us. From the trailers, you would never have known that this was it. You would have expected something nice and light and fun, a fun movie. Like, you would never have seen this coming. The PR campaign was fantastic. Everywhere you turn, there's pink. Instagram, pink. People are making pink pasta. Like, everybody was hopping on this Barbie thing. So if watching Barbie would not have ever even occurred to you after the magic that they performed, you would definitely have considered, if not gone, to watch it. So they did a fantastic job with the marketing. Of course, the sets were fantastic. The sets were really cool, really well done, colorful, and very accurate. It was really nice to see, you know, the dollhouse become a real world. So it was really nice. You could actually see yourself in Barbie land, and yeah, it was really cool. But I'm not going to credit them for that, because this is something that they can do in their sleep. Warner Brothers has been making movies for decades, so this is not, you know, it's not something, I'm not going to pat them on the back for that. And then the acting was good. I mean, they had some big actors in there as well. They had Ryan Gosling, they had Margot Robbie, Ferreira, and Issa Rae. I love Issa Rae. I'm really upset that she was in this, but okay, you know. I feel like a lot of them probably just heard Barbie and were like, oh yeah, cool, I'm down for that, you know. But did they really read the script? Did they know what it was really about? Because I find it so hard to believe that there were thousands of people that were part of this and nobody could say this is bad. Like, was there no adults in the room? What is going on? Like, did nobody notice that there was something wrong with this? Anyway, those were the only positives as far as I'm concerned. The negatives, in case I wasn't loud enough throughout this whole video, them opening the movie with children destroying their baby dolls, discontinuing a pregnant Barbie, and weird Barbie were all elements that I thought were basically just saying that you can't really be any kind of woman you want. In my opinion, it kind of seemed like they were shaming women who wanted to be mothers, and if you are anything less than perfect, then you are cast away and you are referred to as weird Barbie, which is typical for American movies, to be honest. This is not new. They are always shaming people. That's their blueprint. High school, they're the mean girls, and then there's the dork or there's the nerd who's always being bullied and all of that. That's typical for American movies. But in 2023, I think you definitely should be sending a different message to young girls, especially because this is Barbie. Barbie is supposed to be, you know, the one that can do anything. She's supposed to be empowering young women and telling them that they can be anything and do anything that they want to do. It's a bit deeper than, you know, than just a fluff piece. It's not just, oh, a Barbie movie, let's go ha ha ha. These kinds of movies are making an impact on the world we live in today, especially when it's targeted at kids. That being said, I really don't think it was made for kids. I don't think it was made for little girls. I don't think it was made for little boys. I don't even think it was made for anybody. Nobody really needs to be seeing this. This is not progressive at all. The word patriarchy was thrown at least 20 times. I heard patriarchy, and it was just so exaggerated when the person who actually created Barbie was CEO for 30 years and there are women at Mattel. Like, I get the general idea. I know what they're saying. Like, I know that we don't live in a perfect world. Trust me, I'm a woman, so I know what women are going through, but calling men dumb and, you know, just belittling the whole situation just wasn't the way to go. I'm a feminist, but I believe in equality. I feel like women should be given equal rights. I feel like we are all human, men and women, and, you know, we should be able to live in a world where everybody has power, everybody has respect, and everybody has equal access to everything that they want. I think that that's what feminism is about living in a world that's equal and fair, and it's neither a patriarchy nor a matriarchy. Like, can we just all be equal? That's what I feel should be the message. Maybe I am taking it a bit too seriously and, you know, it's not a big deal, but I feel like it is. It also wasn't really funny. Like, after the, you know, initial jokes about the dollhouse, about, you know, there were a few jokes here and there that were okay, but generally it wasn't funny. Putting Will Ferrell in a movie doesn't make it funny. Like, he was just there being, you know, Will Ferrell, but with no story to back him up. Like, the story was all over the place. I feel like the writing was really bad. There were a lot of loose ends that were not tied up. There were a lot of things that didn't make any sense. There were a lot of sexual jokes and, you know, things like that, which, like I said, this is not for kids. And if you do take your kids, which I pray you don't, but if you do, hopefully it goes over their heads. And for the ones that it doesn't go over their heads, I'm just like, good luck. Alright guys, so that's it from me. I will definitely be rating the Barbie movie 1 out of 10. 1 being the set design and just, you know, being able to see the dollhouse real. The actors did okay, so that's why I'm giving it a 1. Otherwise, everything else was just not to my liking at all. And please, if you enjoyed this movie, if you've seen this movie and you enjoyed it, please leave a comment below. I would really like to see, like, is there something did I not get something? Is there something that I'm missing? Please leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts were on the movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were there other reasons why you didn't, or were there reasons that I have mentioned that you absolutely disagree with? I'd really like to hear from you. And if you haven't watched it, I hope I've been able to convince you not to bother, because but some people liked it, so maybe you should. If you feel like you might still like it, go right ahead and come back and leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Leave a comment like I've said, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.